heard about the reading rush for the first time early this month when I saw a video about it by Colleen reads, but I didn't really think much about it at that time because my free Kindle Unlimited subscription will expire by the 4th of August, so I was hell-bent on getting the most out of it for the rest of the month. Then a few days ago, Ina the Mood Reader uploaded a video of her TBR for the reading rush, and I made more excuses why I won't be joining, until she brought up a very, very good point. Then I checked the links again, and I guess I do in fact still have time to panic and get my TBR ready for the readathon. So here we are. Important lesson here: if you're having doubts and making certain content because someone else has already done it, always remember that 1, your content could be someone's first or someone's introduction to this kind of content, and 2, your content could be the push or the motivation someone needed, and 3, to quote something I read over the internet, which I can't remember from who or from where, everyone has done it but only you can do you. So don't think of yourself as anything less, and don't compare your beginnings to someone's middle. And who knows, you might just be the Collie and or Ina to someone out there. So before I become a happy collection of inspirational quotes, let's go back to the reading rush. You can get more info through the links in the description, but suffice to say that the reading rush lasts about a week, from the 20th of July to the 26th, so it most likely has started by the time you're watching this video. If this is the first time you're learning about this, don't worry about starting late because you can still do it. I mean, the readathon literally says rush, so you can be like me and literally rush. But if the 26th is tomorrow or in a few hours, then you're pretty much screwed. But hey, you can always change the dates. No one's really stopping you, especially if you're not really after all the other stuff and just want a challenge. So you do you, and that's fine too. I mean, I don't mind. Anyway, I plan on reading 5 books for this challenge, and I'll be crossing out multiple prompts for 1 book. Some people might think this is cheating, but whatever, I'm making my own rules, which means I'm imposing restrictions for myself. So all of the books I'll be reading will be in audiobook format from Kindle Unlimited save for 1, and all will be romance and or contemporary. This basically crosses out book in a genre that you've always wanted to read more of, because romance contemporary is my least read this year so far, and audiobook is the format I'm most uncomfortable with. To top it off, I'll be going through them in 1.5 to 2 times speed, because a challenge isn't a challenge if it's not challenging. You know what I mean? Next, I'm crossing out different continent because I don't think any of these books is set in Asia. And for the first book I touch, it will be any of the 4 audiobooks. I'll be choosing which book to start first and which book is next by blindly tapping the app. For sure one of those will be read while I'm at work, so crossing those off too. 3 of the books start with the, and 2 from the same author, so off that goes. So we're left with just 2 more prompts. I'm a July baby, so according to Google, my birthstone is Ruby, which means a red cover. That would be Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. And lastly, for inspired by a movie you've already seen, this is the only book that's not an audiobook on my list, and that is The Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. I'm really not a movie person, so this prompt was the most difficult one. I actually have the option of going with Harry Potter or The Hunger Games, because those are free on Kindle Unlimited, but I'm not in the mood for a reread right now, so I'm bending my rules here, and I'm pulling out one of the books that's on my shelf for ages, which is The Traveler's Wife. I've seen the movie, I've enjoyed it, I bought the book, and I never read it. So here's the chance, I guess. But it will be the last one I'll read if I still have time. Now here's the thing. Aside from knowing that these books are romance, contemporary, I'm going into these books blind because it's more fun for me that way. And some synopsis can be too revealing for my taste. So instead of giving an overview, I'm going to judge the books by their covers. So the first book is Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. The last book I've read by Colleen Hoover was Verity, which was more mystery thriller than romance. So it's been a long time since I've read romance from this author. So on the cover I see shredded paper, and this paper looks like it's probably from a notebook because of this vertical line. So I'm thinking it's from a notebook, and the lovers here are probably communicating through letters. And if I'm right that this is a notebook, they're most likely teens who are in high school and passing paper in the middle of class, if that's even still a thing. The title itself is already telling that this is about a breakup story. And seeing that there's a lot of shredded paper, it was probably torn after having a burst of emotion. So as a whole, I'm guessing Regretting You is about teen lovers, probably in high school, who are so immature that they broke up about something petty. So the next book is The Overdue Life of Amy Byler by Kelly Harms. I've never read a book from this author before. Judging from the title alone, it says Overdue Life. I'm guessing the main character is probably in their late 20s or in their 30s, maybe even in their 40s. And please don't let the main character be in their teens, because oh my god, if this is about a teen and it says Overdue Life, I'm going to facepalm so hard that I'm going to break my wrists and break my skull, because I have a bad feeling about that. Because anyway, so judging by this person, main character is most likely female, wearing plain clothes. They're not the flashy kind of clothes, and she's wearing flats, not high heels. So I'm guessing this is the kind of person who likes to be in the background, you know, the kind of person who doesn't like to be center stage for some reason, either by choice or by circumstances. And basing on the background, there's a lot of big buildings, medium-sized buildings, there's towers, and then there's some sort of water tower that reminds me of Spider-Man. So I'm guessing this is set in New York, and there's these books. These are spines of book in the title right behind the words. So either the main character works as a librarian or is a bookworm. So I'm having a feeling of probably the quiet nerd trope who's finally decided to pursue whatever things they haven't done before, you know, something kind of like rediscovering themselves or something like that. So the next book is by the same author, and the title is The Bright Side of Going Dark. So the first time I've read this title and not seeing the cover yet, from the words going dark, I thought maybe it's a villain story and maybe someone's going to get murdered or someone's going to die. But then I saw the cover and all these pastel colors, and yeah, that idea went down the drain really fast. So right here in the center, we see buildings with a mountain in the background. So in contrast to the previous book, this one is probably set someplace that's probably rural. It's not countryside, but it's also not that big of a city. And then we have these circles. Maybe sabihin? Oh, I guess it means signal. I guess going dark meaning like stepping back from technology. Yeah, because you see there's someone over here in this corner to the left. There's a person holding a phone, and then to the right there's a person walking a dog. So this is probably either losing technology because by force from losing electricity, or by choice by just stepping back and avoiding tech for whatever reason. And then there's this random person just standing there. So I'm gonna assume that they're choosing to go dark or take a step back from technology by choice. Yeah, so I'm guessing this is a story about not having technology and the good stuff that comes from it. Okay, the next book is Where the Forest Meets the Stars. First time I saw this, I did not know it was romance, contemporary, and just by the title alone, I thought maybe it's science fiction or maybe fantasy. But no, it's not it. In the cover, we can see the galaxy, and this is probably the Milky Way. And yeah, it's literally the forest and the stars meeting. Okay, anyway, right here in the sides, we can see the small dot. Look, I'm guessing they're fireflies, and fireflies remind me of that scene in Rurouni Kenshin where before Kenshin leaves for Kyoto to face Shishio, he went and had a talk with Kaoru in a field where there were fireflies, and that was an emotional moment. And basing off of that, I'm thinking that Where the Forest Meets the Stars is about someone leaving and maybe looking back on things, or someone who's left, or probably someone dying and contemplating about life. Since the stars are so clear and I'm still assuming they're fireflies, the setting is probably somewhere rural, if not the countryside. Because even if you find artificial forests, like maybe in New York, all that light pollution will prevent you from seeing the stars. So yeah, this is probably somewhere on the countryside. And finally, the last book, The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. I of course already know what this story is about because I've seen the movie, but let's pretend I have no idea what the story is about. Judging by the cover, there's a field and there's a water bottle, probably some food somewhere not in the picture. And there's this sort of blanket thing, which in Western movies means there's a picnic. And then there's this child that's most likely female, and it's all blurry. Since this isn't a horror novel, I can safely assume this isn't a ghost. I guess the blur represents memories. So this is probably a memory of a little girl out in the field in a picnic. But she's not alone, because right here to the side is a pair of shoes that are big and is most likely from an adult male. And under those shoes is a pile of clothes. So I guess one can assume that this little girl's companion is an adult male who's probably very naked. So I think I just implied pedophilia. So those were the 5 books I plan on reading from the 20th to the 26th of July. And we'll see by the end of the week if I'll manage to read all of them, or I'd be happy to read at least 3 of those. But since I'll be going through the audiobook in a faster speed, then there's a high chance that I will be able to get all 5 done, or maybe at least all 4 audiobooks. So yeah, see you next week, and let's see how this goes.